Yeah, hi all, and thanks to all the previous speaker and their new achievements. It's always also really interesting for us, and yeah, thanks for having us. Well, every year the AutoSAR release or the AutoSAR release event holds pretty interesting features, and it was really nice to see so far all the other teams with what ideas they came around the corner. Well, and we are thrilled that we also can basically provide something to you here, something new and hopefully interesting. So basically we are here to present you the AutoSAR feature graph that we developed. We as the requirements management team, we means my colleague Philipp Stolz and I, Tony Schmidt. And yeah, we are representing the requirements management team here. So we would like to show you then what you can expect now in this upcoming minutes. So first of all, we want to give you a short introduction to this whole situation, or what basically motivated us, followed then by presenting the feature graph. And also we want to show you then a certain appearance because we developed then, or we also come up with a document. And last but not least, we want to show you what we plan then in the near future. So first of all, most probably you saw that already at other speakers. Well, the complexity is increasing in the automotive industry. Well, everything started, let's say, with an indicator or smaller components, with now a really complex and complicated architecture of cars. So in this case, it's getting more and more complicated basically to have a good understanding of the whole architecture here in cars, for example, or in the automotive industry. Well, beside that, also you get more and more options you can choose from according to a technology or to a feature. Beside that, the amount of documents is growing, and it's getting more and more complicated then to basically navigate through all this information you have to basically find what you really want or what you need. So, I mean, for example, if you look for a certain aspect, it's getting quite difficult then to find what you're looking for or what you're searching for. So, also to give you an idea how is it so far, the current situation, or how it was so far, basically we have a multiple layer of information, starting with the specifications, having requirements level. But what we witnessed was basically that the users and also the working groups, well, they use the specification layer or the layer of information where you have your specifications or software specifications, and then maybe you have a look then on the requirements that you need for the specifications. But above that, all the abstraction level we have so far, it was not really used by the user or the working groups. So we thought about, so how can we do that, or how can we make it more user-friendly? Also, how could we achieve that it's getting more easy to navigate through the features and the requirements to find the information we are looking for? Also, maybe it's lacking of a consistent order, the whole order we have currently. So what can we do about this? Well, what would it be if we maybe tag the information? So in this case, it's easier to search for. Yeah, okay, well, tagging is a nice idea. So, but what should we tag it with? Well, maybe let's do some grouping. What features do we have? Maybe according to the features. So in this case, the idea was born to collect the features and then group them according to something. And what this something is, I would like to hand over now to Philipp, who will give you a briefly introduction to the feature graph.
Thank you, Tony. Okay, what we see here now is a demonstration of the feature graph. It's animated. You can see how you can browse it. You see there's a top-level feature communication. It has network technology. Then under network technology, you find CAN. So you directly see the feature graph can be used to browse the features in AutoSAR. It's released this year for the first time in AutoSAR, and it's in the first place released as a AutoSAR features.mm file, which is the original format currently. It's a mind map file that can be read with an open source software called FreePlane. And it's actually the software we've been using to model the feature graph. But we also provide you with a representation of the feature graph in ARXML. By the way, ARXML provides dedicated mechanisms for feature modeling or for representing feature models. And of course, we also use these features to provide you with our feature graph content as ARXML. So you can easily read it with custom software or whatever you use to process ARXML. Okay, additionally, we also provide you with the AutoSAR features PDF file, which is a graphical representation of the entire feature graph. So it does not come as a mind map, but as a big graphical feature model, and you will see an example or multiple examples on the next slides how that looks like. The last thing you get is AutoSAR FOTR features, which could be considered as a kind of feature catalog. Consider it as a linear list of all the features in the AutoSAR feature graph with all the details that you maybe cannot see in this mind map now, but which are buried as attached information in the notes of the mind map. Things like descriptions, for example, are added to the features in this representation. Let's have a look at the graphical representation of the feature graph in the next slide. Here you see just a small section of a feature model, so it's not complete, and many things are missing in it, but it's a good example to understand what you will find in the feature tree. You see features, sub-features. You have indications which features are mandatory and which ones are optional, and then some features might have restrictions. Currently, we distinguish two sorts of restrictions. The one is called restriction, the other one is called relation. And in this particular example, you see a relation between CAN XL and Ethernet. And this model just says now, if you want CAN XL, you also have to implement Ethernet. Okay, here you see the graphical representation of the feature graph as a whole on the left-hand side. It is very large. That's why on this slide we don't see any details on the left, but in a zoomed-in view we see the details, so you can imagine how it is when you browse the large graphical representation as a PDF. It's vector graphics, so you can zoom in without losing resolution and just browse over the graph, and you see all the dependencies between the features. You can navigate from one feature to the next one, etc., etc., and it's just another means for browsing what's in the feature graph currently. And then there was a last representation which I initially told you. It was the representation I called the feature catalog. And here on the left-hand side, we see one example of how a feature is represented in this catalog. You always get a graphical representation of exactly that feature with restrictions if there are any, but here we don't see any restrictions, but also all the child features of the feature that is described here. And below that graphical representation, you get a table, and in the table you see all the details. For example, the description, or also, if specified, which platform of AUTOSAR the feature is applicable to. That would also occur in the table here. Okay, that was just a first impression of what the feature model is, and we hope that you download the feature model and you use it. And now Tony will tell you what the next steps from our side are in terms of the feature graph.
Yes, thank you very much. So now we can see basically, what will be, well, what will happen in the nearer future. I mean, our initial goal was basically we want to ease it up to navigate in the whole standard. So in this case, the tagging is then also a big part. And as I already mentioned, we had to start first collecting what we wanted to tag it with. So in this case, we started with a feature. It's an ongoing process. So as you can see, we also didn't highlight this release because we started the work already earlier. Now we have the possibility to release something, but we started already way earlier with that work. And as you also can see, this will never be complete. So it's an ongoing work. It's a living artifact. And so in this case, we are working on that continuously. The other thing is then the tagging. We have new concepts coming up. So there we already implemented something to remind the teams, hey, so what feature does it actually support? Or is it a new feature? And where should we basically place it in the feature graph? Other thing is the current specification and also the requirements documents we have. Well, would be good if we filter the whole requirements according to one feature, that all the requirements are basically tagged with something. So for now, we could already achieve that approximately 60% of the requirements are tagged. So in this case, you see, so there's more work going on or more effort necessary also for the next release. So, and also to give you a glimpse what it actually looks like, the whole tagging we are talking about. I mean, today we want to present you the feature graph, but basically the tagging is then also a major part of it. Down to the left-hand side, you see a small picture of the feature graph there, basically the hardware test management. So if you have then the database of this whole standard, you basically can filter the whole standard according to one tag. So they can see also on the lower right-hand side, all the requirements then are also tagged. So in this case, you can easily basically go through the whole standard and just filter it to the certain information you're looking for. In this case, it could be hardware test management. So yeah, this graphic basically just should show you the possibilities or what we're trying to achieve here. Okay, so in this case, I would say thank you very much for your attention. If there are any further questions, so there's an upcoming Q&A session, so don't hesitate to ask any question or address a question to us.